Now, do you think men are being treated unfairly? Is it time for men to take a stand and a fight against feminism? Mike Buchanan thinks so. He set up a new political party called Justice for Men and Boys. He's on the line. Morning to you, Mike.
Yes, good morning, Steve.
Good morning. And the commentator and journalist Niamh Horan with us as well. Morning to you, Niamh.
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, good morning. What's the idea here, Mike? What's the problem?
Well, men collectively pay 72% of the income tax taken in the UK, and women only 28%. That's about £64 billion more. But for over 30 years, men have been ever more assaulted by the actions and inactions of successive governments. Whenever legislation or official guidance favours one gender over the other, it always favours women over men. And I'm not aware of a single piece of legislation which favours men over women. And finally, the coalition is just as bad as the preceding Labour administration in this regard.
Niamh?
Right. Well, I just had a look at the website and I showed it to two guys here this morning, and both of them thought it was mad. So I don't even know if he was the men on his side. I mean, you're talking about a new political party here. There's already Fathers for Justice out there. It was set up by a man who claimed he was denied access to his children, and it's done in the name of children. It's all very positive. So if he wants, that's the only way that I can see that men suffer any injustices when it comes to the courts and family law. But if he wants that, he can join that party. But I don't see why he needs to set up this new thing, which seems to be very anti-women in my opinion. And by the way, I wonder why he calls it Justice for Men and Boys, and don't forget, and the women who love them. I don't understand why he finished with that line and with the name of his party. It all sounds a bit insecure and a bit needy, like they see women are gaining ground and they feel they need to fight back. I've also seen on the website a couple of anti-feminist links. It's all very negative, you know. I mean, feminism advocates social, political, legal and economic rights for women. What the hell is the problem with that?
Feminism for more than 30 years has been a hate-driven female supremacist movement.
Hate-driven? Are you kidding me?
Very much so. Now, if we talk about, let's talk about specifics. At least 40% of victims. Niamh, I didn't interrupt you. At least 40% of victims of domestic abuse and violence are men, and probably a good deal more because men are far less likely to report it. The taxpayer finances over 4,000 places in refuges exclusively for women, and just 15 for men. So women get 99.6% of state funding for domestic violence.
So 40% domestic, so you're leaving out the 60% of domestic violence that is towards women, and you forget all about the women that don't report as well because they're too scared. I mean, look, every statistic out there is on my side. Women in Ireland and the UK, they work less, they earn less, they're more likely to suffer from depression than men. Men, on the other hand, are overrepresented in government on boards of the top 100 companies. They're more likely to be unemployed, suffer from higher rates of alcoholism, and more likely to go to prison. So, if anything, they're you know what I mean? They're proven to be more of a weight in the system in the long run.
I'm sorry, but the reason why men dominate corporate boards and parliament and so on, has been very well understood for a good many years. In the year 2000, the renowned sociologist Catherine Hackim published a thing called preference theory, and she showed in that while 4 out of 7 British men are work-centred, only 1 in 7 British women are. So that's why men dominate things like Parliament.
I've heard it all now. By the way, I honestly, I do actually think you have issues when it comes to your views of women. Even on your main page, your website, you take a full space to hit out at one particular female blogger who didn't agree with your point of view. You call feminists on your website misandrist, militant feminists. Not all feminists are man-hating. You do know that.
No, they aren't. But the only politically important strand of feminism for well over 30 years has been militant feminism, and that is very much driven by misandry. Most people out there have never even heard of the word misandry.
Well, can I just say also, you talk about inequality. I mean, even if you look, I just wonder where you were on February 28th back in last month. You know what that was, no?
No.
That was called Equal Pay Day in Europe, right? And according to all the figures in the European Commission, basically, do you know how many extra days a woman has to work in a year to earn the same amount as men? 59 days to be equal to pay for men.
Women go into lines of work which suit them, and where supply and demand means that employers don't need to pay so much. I mean, if women want to start working on oil rigs,
Sorry, say this again to me.
and going down mines, then it might be different. But women overwhelmingly choose female typical lines of work which suit them, which are pleasant, which
pleasant. Are you go on, keep going. Seriously, you don't sound patronising enough yet. Go on. Women soon choose lines of work which are more pleasant. Go on, yeah.
Well, for example, 95% of work-related deaths are of men. Why are women not going into those lines of work?
Listen, look, time and time again, they're proving the figures. The figures right there that women want to get into these. I was talking to a woman last year. She was one of the most influential women in business in Ireland, right? And she was saying how difficult it is to get into the boardroom, to get your even your say heard. I think it's about 4 to 7% of women are on boards and the top 100 companies in Ireland. I'm sure it's roughly the same figure for the UK. And you're telling me that it's because women want to chase more pleasant lines of work. What would you call pleasant? Like knitting, flower arranging, or?
No, come on. I mean, I've heard many women say they want a better work-life balance. And how often do you think that means they want more work?
Better work-life balance. But what about the people who want to chase these jobs? Do you think all women just want to sit at home and have babies? Is that it? And make dinners?
I'm not saying that at all, but women do not like to do what it takes to compete at the top levels of business and in other areas.
Sorry, what did you say there?
Women do. I'm sorry?
Did you just say they don't have what it takes to compete in the top level of business in other areas?
I'm saying the number of men who are willing to do what it takes to get to the top of business hugely outnumber the number of women. And there's very clear evidence, which we have on our website.
So where on earth do you get that from?
Sorry, what's that?
The amount of men. Say, what did you say again?
I said the number of men who are willing to make the effort.
How on earth? Where is this research which defines the amount of men who are willing to do something? Where on earth are you getting that from?
I mean, that's my experience from over 30 years as a senior businessman and consultant.
So you can't back it up with any research, with any statistics. It's just your biased opinion to say that the amount of men who are willing to do something supersedes what women do.
It's apart from anything else, there's very clear evidence that when you drive up the proportion of women on major corporate boards, financial performance declines.
Cite that evidence. Source that evidence. Where are you sourcing that evidence from?
It's on our website. 5 longitudinal studies.
Cite it.
Dietmar and Aidan.
Oh God!
Stephen, these are longitudinal studies, and there's not one longitudinal study that says that corporate performance improves when you put more women on boards. Not one.
Okay.
Wow.
Mike, thank you very much indeed. Niamh, thank you. Here's the number: 0845.